I think this moment was the biggest fail in the debate because there was an opportunity to once and for all call out Trump for what he is, and I think Jake Tapper let him slide on it. So he at least brought up the issue, but boy, did this require a better follow-up. Let's watch.
Do you believe that you've done anything to create a tone where this kind of violence would be encouraged?
I hope not. I truly hope not. I will say this. We have 25, 30,000 people. You've seen it yourself. People come with tremendous passion and love for the country. And when they see protest, in some cases, you know, you're mentioning one case, which I haven't seen. I heard about it, which I don't like. But when they see what's going on in this country, they have anger that's unbelievable. They have anger. They love this country. It's a beautiful thing in many respects, but I certainly do not condone that at all, Jake.
Some of your critics point to quotes that you've made at these rallies, including February 23rd, "I'd like to punch him in the face," referring to a protester. February 27th, in the good old days, they'd have ripped him out of that seat so fast. February 1st, knock the crap out of him, would you? Seriously, okay, just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees. I promise, I promise.
We have some protesters who are bad dudes. They have done bad things. They are swinging. They are really dangerous. And they get in there and they start hitting people. And we had a couple big, strong, powerful guys doing damage to people. Not only the loudness I don't mind, but doing serious damage. And if they're going to be taken out, I be honest, I mean, we have to run something. And it's not me. It's usually the municipal government, the police, because I don't have guards all over these stadiums. I mean, we fill up stadiums. It's usually the police. And by the way, speaking of the police, we should pay our respects to the police because they are taking tremendous abuse of this country, and they do a phenomenal job.
Give the salute right there.
Yeah.
Let me support authority.
Oh,
right
you're
there.
worried about political protesters being beaten? No, you should be worried about the cops.
So Tapper at least brought up his quotes where he specifically encouraged the violence. But then when he says the protesters are the ones that are swinging away and attacking people, that is not remotely true.
Yep, there was no challenge at all.
There was no challenge on that. There was no follow-up on that. So then it makes it seem like, I guess people were defending themselves. What could they do, right? And then everybody bowed their head to the cops, and then off we go. So you let him get away with that. But that's the number one problem here, that we got a guy leading towards fascism that are now, you know, a Time magazine photographer strays 18 inches out of a press cage, gets body slammed. Even a Breitbart reporter got yanked down, her arm bruised, and then the Trump people say, well, we didn't know she was a conservative, like as if it's okay to do that to a non-conservative reporter. And then you've got all these people being viciously assaulted, and you let them get away with saying it's the protesters' fault.
Yeah.
That's a huge fail. The only fail that might be larger is when the crowd, when hearing those vicious quotes from Trump, cheered.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak highly of the Republican Party or the people in that crowd.
Yeah.
And it doesn't speak highly of CNN and the way that they moderated this debate. There were no challenges in this debate. I mean, that was definitely the biggest fail. They should have pressed him on that. They should have mentioned, it's not the protesters that are causing this violence. It's your supporters that are using physical force against these protesters, which, by the way, at a political rally, you should be okay with political protests.
Yeah.
Right?
Silent protest.
Yeah, silent protests. But in general, I feel like the moderators, with the exception of those at Univision, have failed during this entire election season. They refuse to ask the tough questions. They refuse to follow up. The Republicans deal with the easiest questions. The Democrats get challenged a little bit, but barely, right? And so how is the public going to be informed when you allow those politicians to stand up there and lie to them, and then you don't correct their lies?
Yeah, conservatives love to say that the Second Amendment's super important. That's why they put it before a bunch of those other amendments. But they put the First Amendment before the Second.
Yeah.
And that's just people exercising that. And they say that they love America and freedom. They love the Constitution, but why don't you love the exercise of the rights you get in the Constitution? What do you think America was founded on but political protest? And a lot more in-your-face protest than simply somebody standing and not saying anything.
Yeah.
But they can't take even that. If someday, let's say hypothetically, crazy talk, someday Trump declares himself generalissimo for life, and we descend into actual fascism. Thankfully, when the documentaries get made, we have way more footage than we did back in the times of Mussolini and Hitler. this is the sort of footage that they're going to show, like, this is how passively America went to fascism. Some of your critics say that you said you wanted to beat up. No, he said he wanted to beat up protesters. Stop framing it in the best possible way for him. Do you feel like you've created an environment that leads? No, he has created an environment that has led to this. Make him answer for it before he becomes the fucking president.
Yeah, and so it's not that the whole country's going meekly that way, but certainly the media is, because they are scared of the strong leaders on the Republican side, and that's exactly how we get into the situation that John is describing. And finally, think about the irony of what's happening here and what John just said. They think that you don't have a First Amendment right to protest, but you do have a First Amendment right to spend unlimited money bribing politicians.
Yeah.
How is that for a topsy-turvy interpretation of the Constitution?